Okay, guys, this one's gonna be short and sweet. I literally sat down this morning right about here. And when that happened, I actually was like, oh, I'm looking for a long trade. I realized I was being a little bit hasty, so I got out really, really quick. This could have gone up from there. It'd have been fine if it did. I just realized that I wasn't making a clear, conscious decision because this was trading directly into a resistance area that had held many times before. And, at that time, the MACDs were starting to curl down a little bit. So what happens on my 610, which guys, I'm a huge MACD person. I'm looking here at my 1597 saying, okay, well, we got some room to the zero line. Everything's starting to angle up. But I knew, my personal problem and things I struggle with, because I don't care who you are as a trader, you always have something that you struggle with. If not, you are a gabillionaire, and you wouldn't be sitting here talking to people. But anyways, that's besides the point. What I'm really saying here is I knew I was being a little bit hasty. The way with this space between the EMAs, the closes down at the bottom, it still had the chance to kind of push down a little bit more. So I needed to wait. It did give me my signal with this little bar right here once you got a double bar. When I talk about a double bar reversal, I'm going to make this a lot bigger. You can see these tiny little bars where they have the same low, right? The close is at the top of this bar. They've got the same low, and that pulled back at that time, and this was all the reaction you had in the MACDs. Everything was in agreement. You're pulling back to your 610. Everything's starting to open up. So I actually had to chase this just a little bit to get back in, which you see was a tick higher than where I got in before, but I'm fine with that. It was really, along these lines anywhere right here. I know a lot of you would have been in here. Like I said, I don't trade the 233 EMA. I'm actually considering getting rid of it for a little while because I think it may have thrown me off some. But that's just, my thing. If you guys love it, use it. All that great stuff. So I got in to the trade as it was starting to pop back up about right here. And then what happens at that point is my stop had been right here behind the last pivot. Guys, you want your stop, and you'll see me sometimes when I'm getting into a trade, you'll see me doing this and it looks like I'm trying to decide what tick to get on. It's because I am. It's because I want to make sure my stop is going to be at least a tick behind that last pivot low. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where does it need to be? Where do I need to get in for it to be there? So when I got in here, it actually put me at the low because I knew I was chasing it just a little bit. Once it started to take off a little bit, I moved my stop up right behind here, right behind the 3 EMAs, where I don't want the market to go if I'm going to remain in this long trade. As it was pushing up and pulling back, you can see what happened in the MACDs. Guys, look at these MACDs. Look how they push up strong to the upside, and then this is your retracement. Is that a retracement? No. And then pushes up hard. So whenever you see this is a pretty decent retracement, and this has come back. What I like to look at when I'm looking at retracements, if you need that visual, then this is what will give it to you. You start at the bottom of that move and you move to the top. My numbers are kind of weird because they're different, they're real light colors, but this pulled back 38% of this move to the upside. The MACDs probably pulled up 10%. Let's see. I'm sorry, I went too far. You need to go right here. They didn't even pull back. What am I talking about? They just kind of roll. Anyway, so you see what I'm saying about those MACDs and how they can really help you determine. I mean, whenever that pullback happened, this is all that happened on the 1597. Now, I was grabbing my stop and attempting to move it. Everything kind of froze up because guess what? I didn't pay attention to news. President Trump was speaking at 9, and so it just shot up, hit my target, because I was actually attempting to move. I had moved my target a little bit. I had it initially right about this area, and then I moved it up. So I ended up with, let's see, my first trade was a loss. My second trade was 3.75. So my first trade I lost a tick. My second trade I gained 3.75. I'm sorry, my first trade I lost 2 ticks with 2 contracts, so that's a point. My next one 3.75 each with a total of 6.5 to the 6.5 positive. You know, if you're looking to continue with this trade, this is still showing you that you have trend to the upside, except right here we're in a little bit of a disagreement between our 1597 and our 610. The 1597 is king, but things aren't really spreading out the way we'd like to see them. We want to see everything angled and pushing to the upside if we want this to continue to the upside. So you're really at this area where you're looking for more to the upside, but you know, right now it's kind of wishy-washy. And I have a lot of things to do today, so I don't plan on sticking around. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, and hope y'all have a wonderful one. Hey guys, Lindsay Duff here with Motivated Trader. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my 2 trades that I did take this morning. And I was watching for a potential for a long here with the 1597 being strong up. But I just don't like when the 2 are really in disagreement. When I say 2 are in disagreement, the 610 is telling you that we have a downtrend. The 1597 is telling you we have an uptrend. Things are starting to point to the downside a little bit. In the long run, we still have a lower high if you're looking at this right here. So, you know, it might be better just to be patient and wait at this time. I've made my points for the day, and I have a lot on my plate. So, excuse me, I will be carting out of here pretty quickly. What I want to do, though, is discuss with you about my 2 trades. My first trade was super early for me, and I got out really quickly when that happened. When I realized it, I started right about here. And when I started my day, it was, I mean, I had just literally just walked in the door from dropping my kids off at school, filling up with gas, all that fun stuff that life has, and, you know, getting my Starbucks and all that stuff. But anyway, so I had been, I had walked in right about this time, and when I did that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to the upside. I was pretty hasty. I didn't realize we were trading directly into an area that is held several times. I mean, not necessarily this exact line, but the line was already drawn there. So it was somewhere right in here that it had held several times. So what I did was I entered the trade long, and I said, man, it's just not the right time. Now, could I have stayed in that trade? Absolutely. My stop was actually right about here. Guys, you'll see me sometimes, and this is why I exited the trade. My stop was not where I needed it to be. You'll see me move this when I'm going for an entry. You'll see me move it around. It's because I'm counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I use a 5-tick stop. I want to make sure whenever I enter, my stop is going to be, if not at a break even with that previous pivot, then behind it. It's really not as conservative to have it as a break even, because a lot of times you'll see that price pull back to that even point and then take off. Ideally, I want it 2 ticks behind that previous pivot when I'm looking to take a trade to the upside, or I want it above that previous pivot when I'm looking to take a trade to the downside. So I got into that first trade. I was a little hasty. I mean, guys, I am human, and I can't express this to you enough that, you know, not all my trading is perfect. Nobody is a perfect trader. We would like to think of ourselves as that way, but it's like, you know, someone who... you know, there are cheat days on different things, and you know, once you got to catch yourself, and once you realize that your mind is not totally in tune with things, you need to go ahead and take your exit, no matter what. Because I realized that there was still potential for this to roll down a little bit. Even though we were back above everything, we do have some distance to here. It just wasn't time. The way with the closes at the bottom of the bars, I was just being a little hasty. So then I see what is, to me, a double bar reversal, which is this right here, the 2 bars that have the same low, and this bar closes at the top. And I love these little tiny bars when this happens at an area that tells me that we're really looking for a push. So because I'd gotten really hasty at getting out, I had to be pretty quick at getting back in, honestly. So I had to get back in on the next bar when I realized, hey, even though you got out, this is the right thing to do right now, because look at this close at the top of the bar. These MACDs are starting, they're just kind of barely rolling here. Everything is in tune, everything is in favor of it continuing to the upside at that time. You know, your distance between these, they're kind of starting to spread open a little bit. It's just a little bit of a, I know it's only 3 bars, but guys, I do watch each bar. I'm watching price patterns. I'm watching where these closes happen as I'm watching the reaction in the MACDs. So, and I'd drawn this on here because I wanted to remember to tell you about this. You know, once I got into this trade, which my stop actually was at a break even right here once I got into that trade. So yeah, no, actually before the trade before I had a little bit of room to it, so excuse me. I was just, sometimes it's hard to remember when you're in the moment, and I forgot to record today. So it pulls back in, it starts to take off. My stop is at this area, and like I said, you'll see me counting each tick to make sure that my stop is going to be at the right spot. Once it starts taking off, I move my stop right back here so that, you know, because at this time, I don't want it to come and cross these areas. And if it does, I don't want to be in that trade anymore. And so then I'm looking at the extensions, okay? So I do a Fibonacci extension when I want to look at things like how far did something retrace. So price pulls up and it pulls back down and it retraces 38%. And what happens in the MACDs is there's absolutely no retracement. So I'm going, all right, we've still got a lot of strength to the upside. There's no retracement. I'm going to be patient and wait in this trade. I did not pay attention to news, which you know is one of my downfalls, guys. And so I was looking to move my stop 2 ticks behind here once it started taking off. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And obviously I had moved my target. Once it started to push through the support area, I was like, oh, this is going a lot further. I had looked at some clusters in the Fibonacci extensions through, oh, wrong thing. No, I don't know what that was. Fibonacci extensions. So I looked at clusters. I'll go from price close to price close to price close, right? And then we went here. Wasn't quite at that spot yet because we didn't have that there yet. The next one would have been right here. Dun, dun. And I looked at where some of this could go. I actually had my stop right around here. As you can see, my target right around here where we had a cluster. And so it went up. I was looking to move my stop. I could not move my stop because it just shot up real quick and hit my target. So my first trade that I took was minus 0.5 times 2 equals that's 1.0. And then my second trade was plus 3.75 times 2. Was that 750? Yes. So, 2 trades, 2 contracts, one winner, one loser. Plus 6.5. And let's see, how long was that I traded for today? So probably from about 8:53 to about 8:59. So 5 minutes. Okay. And then, you know, looking at here, you know, technically everything has changed to the downside. You know, if you're trading the 1597 or if you're looking at the 1597 like it's king, like I do, you would see this here and you go, okay, well, technically everything's still to the upside. But look what it has in its favor to go up. Nothing. The 1597 EMA is flat. It's just wishy-washy bouncing around it. The 610 is starting to lead the way and saying, hey, we're pushing to the downside. Now, had I been paying attention, I might have taken some of these pullbacks, but I've already lost interest for today, especially, I've got my points for the day, and I have a lot of things on my plate for today. So, yeah, I mean, technically what we see is a trend to the downside. Like I said, oh, wrong thing, sorry, line. We got a trend to the downside because we have lower highs and lower lows in the longer run. So right now, it's Friday. President Trump just spoke. Things may get a little wishy-washy. We may just, if you're good at these really quick entries and quick exits, then you may take a quick point here and there. That's not my style. I'm not great at that. I'm working on it in the evenings when nobody's around to look at my craziness. But it's not something that I prefer. And so for here, I don't really see anything. It's just everything is flattening out. It's going to be easy to violate those areas. It's going to be easy to go up above them. It's going to be easy to break down below them. Technically things are to the downside, but and I don't keep these lines on here because I let them dictate what I think should happen. But that's my day, guys. So this ran a little bit longer than I thought it would for talking about 2 trades. But if you have any questions, be sure and hit me up. I'd be happy to help you out. We do have, a free boot camp. A free mini course. We do have a boot camp, and we've got a simplified day trading program that if you want to learn, just kind of how we're reading these things and putting them together. And if you want to get some coaching, let me know. Anyways, hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and happy trading.